You know that snappy, responsive feel of interactions on Framer websites? I managed to recreate that exact vibe right inside of Adobe After Effects. Let's break down exactly how I built this button animation. So yeah, we are back in After Effects. So let's start with the composition settings first. So hit Ctrl K on your keyboard to open the composition settings, and here let's see the settings for this composition. For the composition name, set as master comp, and for the preset I have chosen as width as 1920 and height as 1080, which is full resolution. You can go with the 4K resolution also if your PC supports that resolution. And after that I have set the frame rate of 60 frame per second, and the duration is set to around 4 seconds, and the background color set as default as black. Okay, yeah, hit OK and hit OK. Now let's start with our first layer, which is our background layer. So before moving further, let's quickly turn off all the layers first so you don't get messed up. And yeah, let's turn on our first layer, which is a BG layer as background. Let's turn on, and you can see the color option. Just select your layer, go to FX control, and you can see as two effects applied here. The second effect is CC toner effect. So we will discuss this effect afterwards. First, we will discuss about this first effect, gradient ramp effect. On this solid layer, basically it is a solid layer. So you can add this, go to layer, go to new, and just add a solid layer. And solid settings will be the same as composition settings, and just name it as BG for background. And you can choose any color you want, because we will apply the gradient ramp effect afterwards to change the colors. Okay, hit OK when you will add the solid, and after that just apply the gradient ramp effect. Go to effects and presets, or you can just take the shortcut by effects console. Just you can apply the gradient ramp effect over here, and in this settings you can change the ramp shape to radial ramp. And just I have used the first color or the start color as a purple shade, and for the second like end color as like dark bluish tone. Okay, you can copy the exact hex code like mine, and yeah, and just increase the ramp scatter value to something around 95, and yeah, it will look like this. And after that you can set the blend with original value to something around 25. Okay, and yeah, you will get that effect. Now what you have to do is, let's quickly turn on our second layer, which is a particle overlay layer. So basically I have downloaded this overlay from Pinterest. So shout out to its creator, because I don't know its creator who uploaded that. So I have just randomly downloaded from Pinterest and used it in this composition, and just change the blend mode to screen, and you will get that particle effect. Yeah, like this. And on this particle overlay effect, just select your layer, and you can see the effect is applied as fast box blur. The blur radius is set to 5 pixels or 5, and the rotation is set to 3, and you will get that blur particles effect you can see in the composition. Let's see the particle effect. Yeah, it looks amazing. And after that just decrease the opacity. So hit T to open the opacity property, and just decrease the opacity to 15%. Yeah, because we don't want too much of overlay on this composition. Okay, yeah, now let's quickly turn on our third layer, which is a precomp layer. So let's quickly double click to open this precomp, and you can see all the shapes over here. So basically it is a button shape. So you can go in the project panel and just click on new composition, and just make a random 1920 by 1080 pixels composition for this button. And in this precomp, the first layer and the last layer, let's quickly turn off all the layers. Let's start with the first layer, which is a backdrop shape 2. So just go to rounded rectangle tool. You can also go with the rectangle tool, and make sure the size is set to 640 by 190. Make sure to unlink that button, and you will be able to change the height and width proportionally. Okay, so the X size value is set to 640, and the Y is set to 190. Okay, and the roundness is something around at 159 to make it all round from that corners. And yeah, and for the color I have used a bluish tone for this. You can copy the exact hex code like mine, and yeah, it looks like this. And after that just decrease the opacity. So you can also decrease the opacity from this layer, but we don't need that. So what you have to do is just select this backdrop layer, go to the fill, select on this fill text, and you will get that fill options over here. And just over here you can see the opacity, decrease the opacity up to 60%, and make sure the preview is checked, and just hit OK. Let's quickly turn on our next layer, which is same shape layer but with some changes. So the size is set to 600 by 160, and the roundness is the same as previous 159. And on that I have added a stroke effect. You can also decrease the stroke, we don't need that. And on this, for the color, I have used as a white color, and on this shape layer I have applied some effects. So just go to effects. I have applied the gradient ramp effect at the linear ramp, not the radial ramp. And for the start color, it is set as purple shade, and for the end color it is set as blue color. And just drag this one point over here and drag the second point over here. Okay, yeah, just change the ramp scatter value to 20% around something, and yeah, we will get that gradient ramp effect. And afterwards what you have to do is just expand the layer properties, expand the layer styles, and expand the bevel and emboss property. So I have added a bevel and emboss effect. So right click on your shape layer, go to layer styles, and just add a bevel and emboss effect. And you can copy the exact settings of this bevel and emboss, or you can just tweak the settings according to your like. For the depth I have set as 50%, and the technique is set to smooth. The direction is set to up, the size is set to 6, the soften value is set to 5. Make sure the use global light is on, and yeah, the shadow color is black as 50%, the highlight is set to white as 50%, and the highlight mode is set to screen, and the shadow mode is set to multiply. Okay, and with these settings we can get these bevel and emboss effect on this our shape layer. And after that we have applied a CC light sweep effect on this. So just apply the CC light sweep effect on this, and yeah, for the settings, see, for the CC light effect, the light color is set to a white color, and the width is set to 150, the shape is set to sharp. You can go with the smooth also, and the edge intensity is 41, edge thickness is 2.60, and the light reception is set to add. And on this, for the direction, hold alt, click on this stopwatch of this direction and apply the simple expression. Just hit E twice to see the expression, times -100, and your direction of the light sweep will be animated something like this. You can see. Let's quickly turn off this. Yeah, you can see this light sweep effect on your shape layer. Okay, yeah, this looks super awesome. Okay, so we will get that effect. Let's quickly turn on our third layer, fourth and fifth layer. So basically I have made some shapes, star shapes. So let's go with the first shape settings, because I have duplicated that afterwards. So expand the star shape layer, expand the contents, expand the polystar. So you can go with in the tool section and just grab the star tool over here, and make sure the points are set to 4 and the type is set to star. And do not change the inner radius and outer radius from these shape properties. Just expand the star shape properties, expand the contents, expand the polystar, and in the polystar settings expand the polystar path, and just change the settings from these around inner radius to 12, outer radius to 25, inner roundness and outer roundness set to 15%. Okay, so you will get that star shape something like this. And after that what you have to do is just duplicate these shapes twice and just scale down a little bit. So hit U to see all the keyframes. Yeah, you will get that effect. And after that just decrease the opacity a little bit to make them different from each other. And after that, for the animation, I have added the subtle scale and opacity parameters for these three shapes. So at the beginning, make a keyframe on scale and opacity and just change the value to 100% for the scale and the opacity. Afterwards, and at 10 frame, just change the scale value to 25 and opacity to 60. And at this frame, something around 20th frame, just change the scale value to 100% and opacity to 100. And after that, just select all the keyframes, apply easy ease, and go to the speed graph editor and just make a graph something like this. And after that, just offset these keyframes 2 to 3 frames forward, so they will appear one by one in the composition. Okay, and after that, just make a duplicate all the keyframes, hit Ctrl C to copy the keyframes, and something around 3 seconds and 10 frame, hit Ctrl V to paste these keyframes, and it will make a duplicate of that keyframes. Yeah, hit U to hide everything. And lastly, our text layer. So I have added a generate site text. For the font, I'm using the Poppins medium style font. The size is set to 60. And yeah, so like this, I have made this button. And let's go to our master comp. So we are in the main composition. So let's quickly select this pre-comp, and on this pre-comp I have applied 2 effects. The first effect is the deep glow effect to give it a subtle glow to this button. Let's quickly turn off and turn on this. It looks awesome. For the setting, radius is set to 400 and the exposure is set to 0.05 and the blend mode is set to screen. And the second effect as CC toner effect, and for the tones set to duotones and the highlight set to a grayish tone and the shadows is set to black. And yeah, let's animate this. So select this precomp layer, hit U to see the keyframes. So 1 second, just make a keyframe on exposure and the blend with original, and hit S to open the scale property and make a keyframe on scale and add 1 second 30th frame. Just decrease the scale to 80% and just change the exposure value to 0 and the blend with original to 0. So it will give the scale down effect, something like this. And again on this background layer, select your background layer, hit U to see its keyframe, and on this background layer also I have applied the CC toner effect, the same effect like our button precomp. So make a keyframe on blend with original value and 1 second, just change the value to 100% and add 1 second 30th frame, change the blend with original value to 0% like our precomp, and just select your keyframes, apply easy ease, and just make a graph from fast to super slow, and at last from slow to super fast. Okay, yeah, you will get that scale down effect, something like this. So basically you can see the monochrome effect because of the CC toner effect. We will get that effect. Let's go to 30th frame. Let's turn off this. You can see it's like purple color, and let's turn on this. You can see the grayish tone. Okay, the monochrome effect. It says the button is turned off or the cursor is out of the range of this button. Okay, we will animate the cursor afterwards. So add 3 frame forward. Again, click on this little keyframe icon to give it a pause and add 3 second 30th frame. Just select these keyframes, hit Ctrl C and hit Ctrl V to paste the keyframes at this frame, and we will again get that scale down and scale up effect, something like this. Okay, and at the beginning we will get that scale down animation, and at this frame we will get that scale up animation. Okay, let's see our last layer, which is a hand cursor. Let's quickly turn on this, hit U to see its keyframe. So for the properties, the scale value is set to 22 for the size, and afterwards hit U to see its keyframe. So at this frame 1 second, the same as precomp and the BG layer, just make a keyframe on position, rotation and opacity. So basically it is our final end position for this hand cursor, and at 1 second 30th frame the position is set to something around at this frame in the composition, and the rotation is set to -25 and the opacity is 40. So what it is showing, the cursor is going out of the range from the button. The cursor opacity is getting lower to 40% and the rotation is aligning to this line. You can see the animation. When it gets close to the button glows up, and when it goes out of the range, it probably turns off like so. Okay, yeah, now at 3 second, just make a keyframe on these little keyframe icons to give it a pause, and again add 3 second 30 frame. Just select your first 3 keyframes, hit Ctrl C and hit Ctrl V to paste these keyframes at this frame, and yeah, you will get that hover interaction animation, something like this. Okay, yeah, so that's how we made this animation. Just you are free to tweak any settings you like, hit U to hide everything, and lastly just turn on the motion blur for all the layers except the BG layer, and just hit U to hide everything. And for the hand cursor, just select your keyframes, apply easy ease, and just make a graph, something like this. You can make sure the speed graph is selected. Just make a graph like starting with the fast and going slow, and at last starting slower and gets faster at the end. Okay, so that's how we animated this cursor. Hit U to hide everything. Let's see our final playback. Yeah, super awesome. Make sure to grab the free project file from the description below so you can follow along, and if you're looking for premium assets like text presets and more, join my Patreon for just $5 a month. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.